anyone here?
Once in a generation,
It's so
an event
awesome.
happens that captures the imagination of the entire world. The stories of
Trying
J.R.R.
to find out where we are.
We need to be ready for whatever stands ahead of us.
What combat experience do you have in your world?
Copied a couple wrestling moves that were explicitly said not to try at home. That's about it.
Grab your swords.
Not everything in Everrealm is as it appears.
I know everybody here wants to win a challenge. Do you trust everyone on the team?
The magic of Everrealm is everywhere.
Guys! Guys! What was that?
Only you can redeem the sacred bond between Everrealm and the Fates.
There are 8 ways in and only 1 way out. Let's go.
I think there's a bigger goal at the end than just winning.
Oh my gosh, how do I get out of here?
And now the quest begins.
The quest.
They're all very hesitant. They were like, teenagers are gonna help us save our kingdom.
Underestimated.
Only on Disney Plus.
That, folks, was the Quest trailer that debuted at WonderCon, which we were at this weekend. Hello, welcome to Torn Tuesday. Your weekly dose.
Welcome to the Mark Ordesky celebration hour. Yes, welcome to the OneRing.net, everybody. Wow, Justin, that was really, really something, because we remember the Quest being on the air on ABC Network a number of years ago, and to see it come back is fantastic. It's really fantastic.
It's so good. We've got a lot to talk about today, but we wanted to show you that first look that we saw at WonderCon, convention that we were at as well. In fact, the Quest panel with Mark Ordesky and the Amazing Race producers and everybody was in the same exact large 1,200 seat room that we were in. And like the One Ring is equivalent of the Quest, which is a huge Disney Plus show. So we're really excited.
Oh, yeah.
And I saw some tweets that are like, I can't believe it's Disney Plus. I'm not going to support that. It's like, the Quest was always on Disney. Disney owns ABC. So
Yeah,
it was
that's nothing new there. Nothing new at all.
And people in chat room right now, I'm watching on Twitter, on Twitch, on YouTube, on Discord, on Facebook. Hi, Kay. Hi, Dr. Nosy, Mia, Princess Toyner, Tukish is in there. Cecilia, I see a lot of you. Someone was saying...
oh, wait, there's also Charlie, our original OG audience member, Bombi. Hello, it's good to see you, Charlie Donaldson. It's been a long time.
Yes, it's been, a lot of you have been here a long time with us. So the Quest debuts on that date that they announced. What was it, May 11th or something like that? The cool thing about this show is that they have 8 contestants that are real, like, teenagers and tweens that have not been given the script of the challenges that they're supposed to do.
Well, of course not. Even when you watch The Amazing Race or Survivor, they're not given any advance notice on the challenges, of course.
Right. Well, but on the flip side, instead of having some challenges like, yeah, you got to find this store and go in and high five the store owner, Mark Ordesky, the executive producer of Lord of the Rings, has scripted an entire fantasy realm in a castle.
Oh,
and so
yes.
They've got practical makeups. They've got guys dressed as trolls and witches, and a lot of the effects, like, it looks CG, but a lot of it was practical, and then they've added some CG elements in post. But like all of the experiences that the kids see was like real. They hired real magicians to do some tricks and stuff like that, and the challenges were really like felt real. So I'm excited for the show, and I'm happy to see the producer of Lord of the Rings jump back into the world of fantasy.
I am too, because I remember how much fun, complete escapism and delightful energy was on the original show that was broadcast a number of years ago. And you know what? I guess it takes a lot of time and a lot of money to make one of these types of hybrid competition shows, because it really has been a number of years since we saw The Quest, and I'm just glad to see it come back to life again.
Yeah, and so The Quest coming soon. That was a little teaser, but we've got a lot to talk about today, and we're joined by Varking Runesong, our resident dwarf and dwarf expert.
Hello, everybody. Always a pleasure to be on the stream with you, Justin, and you, Clifford. And yeah, really excited for some of the topics that we're going to talk about today. I, as a youth, did not see The Quest, but this reminds me of like a modern day souped up, way cooler version of Legends of the Hidden Temple. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll take that. Yeah, that's a good reference.
The chat room is asking us to refer to you as Mr. Varking. Is there an appropriate title for you?
Varking, Vark, Dwarf, Big Papa Vark, whatever you guys want to call me, I'm going to respond to it. It's your show.
Big Papa Vark. I'm taking it, and I'm going to run. Do you know what? I'm going to run a marathon. I'm going to run several marathons with that one. Thank you very much.
I apologize.
That's awesome, by the way. No, Varking. Let me just ask you this. Finish the following sentence for me. All right. This is a scene.
I don't know where you're going.
Finish the following sentence for me. It's from the Fellowship of the Ring Extended Edition. Ish kakwi. Blank, blank, blank. Do you know the rest of that?
I don't.
See?
You put me on the spot.
All right. Next time I will remember the rest of it, because obviously I'm doing that bizarre insult that Gimli is offering to the elves of Lothlorien, right? Remember that? Okay.
Yeah.
I've only got the first part of it. Ish kakwi. And then he says something else that's really ugly. And Haldir has no idea what the hell he just said.
Well, I like this awesome. One from
I'm
Nikki.
Gonna work on that. I'm gonna work on that.
Nikki in the chat says Varking Duck. So I'm gonna go with Varkwing Duck. I do like that.
I like
that hits my nostalgia. My what elderberries?
That's good.
Is that what they are called?
They're called member berries.
Member berries. Elderberries is a whole different thing. Member berries. So let's start with the top news of the day. Middle Earth March Madness has been going for 2 weeks now, alongside March Madness, that sports ball thing. And it is time to announce the winner of this. The voting has set record numbers of voting. Every year we keep getting bigger and bigger, but this year was just, I didn't expect the numbers to be this big, because like it's not like directly movie related, and some of this stuff are book lover things, and like who knows anything about the pre-first age, whatever like that. So this is a huge thing. So this is our brackets. We've had 64 seeds. We're down to the final championship battle of what is the best battle of the ages. Is it the creation of Arda by Eru Iluvatar, or is it the destruction of the One Ring of Power at the end of the Third Age? Cliff, what do you where's your vibe on this? Where do you think things landed?
These are our very final showdown. This is our very final showdown. And do you know, I find it interesting because it is like the yin and yang of Middle Earth, creation and destruction, as if they are, they really are proper complements to one another. I want to observe, first of all, that this seems to be a very fitting and appropriate ending for the Battle of the Ages, the creation of everything versus the destruction of, the greatest Horcrux of them all. I'm sorry. I know that J.K. Rowling stole that entire idea. She stole that idea from Tolkien, but seriously, you know what? My vote, if you're asking me what my vote is going to go for, then I'm obviously going to go for the creation, because you can't, if you're looking at the chicken and the egg conversation about who came first, well, you know who came first, the chicken.
Well, I voted for something I'm familiar with in the movies because Arda does. I don't even know what Arda is because I haven't read the books. But
Come on, dude.
Varking,
Varking,
where did you land on voting?
Varking, don't let him get away with that. I'm Justin. You know what Arda is? Oh my gosh.
He does, but sometimes I like to believe that he is trying to take on a bigger role, and sometimes he plays like he doesn't know, so that you have to explain things to some of the fans who are tuning in for the first time. As for my vote, I also went with Clifford. I went with the creation of Arda. It just seems like a nicer thing, happier time. Everything was brand new, and I don't like that the destruction of the One Ring eventually leads to like the end of our story, and then there's not more out there further for us to continue to read and read and read. And I never wanted this to ever end. I want a 5th age, a 6th age, a 7th age. I want them all.
Right. Yes.
Aren't we supposedly in the 7th age right now, according to the calendars? Like our modern world is like the 7th age, and maybe this. I don't know, some message board post. I don't know. By the way, our message boards have been very active, but that's another conversation. But let's go back to the PowerPoint. So this is it: the battle of the ages, the creation of everything, and the destruction of the one thing.
Yeah, but that destruction of the one thing, that MacGuffin, as a proper literary term, that is, the ring is the MacGuffin. But, it's actually more than that. It represents the destruction of the last bit of Morgoth. I mean, Morgoth had messed around and screwed up the creation. He screwed up the process. Morgoth was messing up everything and making it more and more difficult for everybody. Sauron was the last extension, the last surviving connecting tissue to Melkor/Morgoth. And when the ring was destroyed, that was also the final destruction of Sauron, by extension, the removal of Morgoth and his threat from Middle-earth, except for the only problems that remained was the way that Morgoth had used fear, and Sauron had also used ignorance and fear and lies. And so Tolkien has warned us that maybe even if we've gone forward in time in our primary world and we are in the 7th age, even though Morgoth and Sauron are gone, we are still struggling as human beings with the after effects of lies and fear and spiritual doubt and all those things that Professor Tolkien, built into the DNA of his storytelling. I imagine that even though the ring is gone, there's still battles against the shadow that the good, free peoples still have to fight.
Interesting that of all the words you used right now, fear and loathing and Las Vegas, you did not mention evil. Evil was not vanquished, because the little I know about post 3rd age Middle Earth is that eventually humans start hunting hobbits for sport.
Oh, you're talking about a draft of something that Tolkien speculated in the nature of Middle Earth?
That's heavy stuff. Is that evil, or is that
was already happening with the Rohirrim? The people of Rohan were hunting Gan Burigan and the Woses for sport and treating them as if they were subhuman species. So that's not an unusual idea.
Yeah. Well, anyway, we're getting heavy on the conversation already.
Yes, it's evil. And yes, it's evil. Yes.
Is it the evil? Anyway, let's go back. All right. The champion of Middle-earth March Madness, tens of thousands of votes. You guys have decided that the most epic event in Middle-earth history
all votes are tallied? All votes are tallied?
All votes are tallied.
How many votes did we have before?
I'm getting there.
Oh, okay.
The champion is at 51% of the vote. 51% of the vote.
Tight.
That's tight.
The creation of
That's
Arda. The creation of Arda is the winner over the destruction of the One Ring.
Yay! There you go.
It was the closest final we've ever had.
Wow.
And good has triumphed over evil, and
yes,
creation has triumphed over destruction.
Yes. Although you understand that they do have a symbiotic relationship with each other, and that one follows the other. As I think it's a very interesting meditation. It looks like maybe accidentally through all of the votes that we had from all the fans, but it looks like a little, interesting meditation on yin and yang to me. It really does. What do you think, Varking?
I think that it's very fit. I think it's really cool in general that we've done a vote. There's tens of thousands of votes, and anything is 51-49. Like, to be that close in the community, that's pretty cool. And again, I think it's only that way because we didn't have a ton of Dwarven content on there to fix that. But I was a little bit surprised that the Silmarillion stuff did not make it through to the finals. Or I'm sorry,
this is the earliest of the early stuff.
You know what? Yeah, that was one of the objects, one of the events that was from the pre-first stage, right?
Right, pre-first stage. So that was Middle Earth March Madness. Congratulations to the creation winning over the destruction of everything. Thanks to everybody that voted.
That's pretty cool.
What a huge fun couple weeks of debate. Now, Cliff, the other big news this week is happy birthday, Elrond. It is Hugo Weaving's 62nd birthday, and boy, I think he has bigger
birthday,
shoes.
Agent Smith. Did I say that?
Yeah, you did. I think he has bigger shoes to fill versus Galadriel. I think Robert Arameo has a lot of stepping up to do because
okay.
Don't you think Elrond was so iconic and it had such more substantial role in the 6 Peter Jackson movies that more than Galadriel, that I think Arameo has his work cut out for him, to play Elrond.
He sure does. I'm that guy who thinks that the previous actor who was cast in the role was ideal.
Will Poulter looked exactly like Hugo Weaving.
Will Poulter doesn't even have to try. He's just got the eyebrows. He's already got the eyebrows. And he's already channeling Hugo Weaving. That's just my take. But I'm a big fan of Will Poulter. And, it would have been interesting to see him jump from Narnia, doing a C.S. Lewis story, go right into J.R.R. Tolkien. For an actor, that would have been the ultimate thing on your resume, I think.
Well, he had to choose between signing a 10-year contract with Middle-earth and Lord of the Rings and Amazon, or signing a 10-year contract with Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah.
Ooh, that is a tough choice. In
my eyes.
Your lips to our ears. Thank you very much.
That's fine.
The other big news, we were at WonderCon this week.
And we had a great time. We had a great experience.
I have a WonderCon thing. And what was fun is that I did not expect to be upgraded to the biggest room. We had 1,200 seats. We filled out the room as well as any other panel. And we've seen some YouTube videos and some Twitter reactions to the content that we shared there. And Cliff, you're laughing.
I'm glad we were on our best behavior. We were on our best behavior, so that's funny. That's very funny. Yeah, good. I just want to say that I got extra points for Jigglypuff being a shining beacon. One of the beacons of Gondor was my new Jigglypuff hat up on that panel presentation. At least everybody knew who I was.
And the fun part about the fun part about WonderCon, and one of the reasons we do WonderCon every year, is that it's owned by San Diego Comic-Con. It's kind of like the spring event to the summer main course of big San Diego Comic-Con.
I call it the sister event of San Diego Comic-Con.
Right, yeah. It's both run by the same group. So we always enjoy going down to Anaheim. It's just a wonderful cosplay on there. It was great to see so many old friends. There was a guy that walked up to us after the panel to show off his tattoos, saying he had been member number 383 on our message boards back in 1999.
Wow,
so,
wow.
And he's still here 22 years later at our panel. It just that's so neat to have everybody young and old. And then there were kids in the audience who aren't on Twitter because their parents won't let them, that had no idea what we were about to show, and they were oohing and awing at the photos.
Yes.
And like the information and like what this could mean, and like, hey, look at this, look at this, see, it's not all green screen and blue screen, this is like real stuff and real sets. And you know, one of the things that we enjoy about doing these panels is that we can share stuff that we don't necessarily share online because it's more of a conversation. Also, we want to, you know, the best way I can describe it is that when you go to Hall H in Comic-Con, the MC comes out before the panel and says, hey folks, remember, we're going to show you something exclusive, like a trailer, like a Comic-Con teaser. We don't want you filming with your phone. This is for you only. And one of the reasons is these cons are so special is because there's content that only you can see here that won't be posted online. So we really appreciate everybody who came to our panel and has respected that, kept it in the room, loved what they saw.
I agree with that. I agree, yes.
And it hasn't popped up online yet. So thank goodness we haven't had any lawyers yell at us.
It's working. It's working the way it's supposed to be working. The fan event is where you go and see all these wonderful reveals. And it's at the fan event. And that's, you know, if you're there, then you got the chance to be there and you got to see it. You know what else happened later on in the day? While I was walking outside by the food trucks, and one of the best things about WonderCon is the amazing variety of delicious food trucks they have right outside the convention center. And they set it all up for everybody right in the plaza walkway, right outside the fountain. And I was walking along, total stranger walks past me and says, hey, One Ring. And I'm like, oh shit. Yeah, hi. And he says, hey, One Ring. And I'm like, oh yeah, that was a really good panel. I was there. It was very informative. And I'm like, okay, that's great. When you're walking around in a convention and you've done a good panel presentation in the morning, you will hear about it later in the day because you're in the exhibit hall or wherever, out in general, you know, John Q. public will walk up to you and say, X, Y, Z, I really appreciated that. And, you know, thank you. I want to say whoever that was, thank you for the energy. But that did remind me that we were doing what we always do for the past couple of decades. We're giving the fans the goods, good information, you know, wild speculation, and having some really good topical conversations. It's good stuff.
Right on time in our chat room, and I think it actually shows up on our stream, a Russian named troll, it's literally in Russian, has jumped into our Facebook chat and said, evil cannot create anything new. It's a tired old misquote of Tolkien that earns a block on Facebook, so that's a new block. But
so that's
the reason
that's so funny. The overall point that the trolls are trying to make is so diluted and silly, and you realize instantly that nobody who's talking at you like that is coming at you with a good faith argument. Absolutely not. So yeah, it earns a block.
And it's great timing too, because that comment that's still on screen, if you guys can keep chatting, it'll scroll up out of screen. But I think because we've all lived at home for 2 years and we've been inundated with like these terrible debates on Twitter and stuff that have just, I think for me there's a little bit of hesitation of like, all right, we're going to a panel, are the trolls going to show up and harass us? Is real life going to repeat what happens online? And the cool thing about it is that even after the panel, there were groups of people would come up and we were talking in the lobby, and there were a few people that came up in the lobby and they had questions. They're like, what do you think Tolkien would think about all this? You know, what do you think of the casting? They wanted my deep, honest opinions on things, as if I don't share them honestly with you guys here on the show. But the conversation was clean. It was professional. It was fan friendly. He had a perspective. I could tell what YouTube channels he subscribes to based on his talking points and his questions. But we both walked away saying, I understand you more. And he said, I understand you guys more. And now I understand where Tolkien is coming from and the rights and everything like that. So, you know, I don't know if you got this, Cliff, but
no,
the story you just told.
I wish I had been part of that conversation when you were there. I didn't hear that. Sorry.
Yeah. So, but it goes to, like, you know, like you said, like a guy yelling at you at the food truck. Hey, the One Ring. Like, are you up on your defenses? Are you like what? You know, what are we prepared for? But, you know, like people coming up and wanting to have a conversation about these hot button topics, but in a friendly and professional manner that you just can't get on Twitter. I love cons. This is why I like events, to have these debates in person, and I think it's much better than Twitter. And I'm looking forward to doing more events. You know, we got Dragon Con in September, we got Comic Con in July, and whatever else going on. But it is time for the big breaking news. I teased it on Twitter. I all exclusive. Red sirens going on. There are facts and then there are speculation. So we're gonna jump into the facts first,
okay?
And then I've got some speculation.
Let me anticipate. What we're about to talk about right now is the Saul Zaentz Company licensing for Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. Is that what we're going to talk about?
Yes. So
the
big breaking news. I'm going to let Varking take over, but the big headline is the Saul Zaentz Company, who do business as Middle Earth Enterprises, who own the license that Warner Brothers used to make the movies, has filed trademarks worldwide for the Rings of Power. Not just Lord of the Rings. The Saul Zaentz Company has filed trademarks for the Rings of Power and Lord of the Rings, the Rings of Power. And we're going to get into a big discussion about this. But Varking, how did we find out about this?
So, oddly enough, or luckily enough, we've played nice with some people on Reddit who are pretty good at finding this stuff. And this morning, I was alerted to a Discord bot that told me, hey, there's a new post on your subreddit. Do you want to check it out? And like any awful over-the-top moderator, I click it immediately. And the title of the thread was like, I'm not saying there's a video game coming, but... So then I clicked it, and I thought this was going to be some sort of troll attempt or big misinformation. And then they had links to this Europa.eu website, and I opened them up, and immediately you are greeted with trademark claims for the Rings of Power and the Lord of the Rings of Power. And then you're at that point, you're just trying to break down all of the information that you are reading. You're trying to take everything in. And then I just started sharing the thread to every Discord I was a part of so that more and more people can see it. But some of the stuff obviously is very generic, but there's other things in here that seem kind of detailed and catered towards the show. So we can get into that if you guys would like.
Yes. Yeah. Yes, let's dive into what these classifications mean. And before we do, shout out to the number one Middle Earth YouTuber, Nerd of the Rings, is in the chat. Obviously trying to get some gossip for his own YouTube channel. Hey, welcome, Matt. Glad to have you on Matt. The show. In the chat. We're excited. He's excited. I think it's more than video games, but let's let Varking dive in. You've done some research on the classifications that we see, right?
Yes, and for the most part, like I said, generic, and they cover like literally everything. But one, I just want to give a shout out. That Redditor's name, I didn't want to forget it, is Long John Silver, and the subreddit that originally came from was called Leaks and Rumors. And I believe the Demosthenes on theonering.net has already posted an article, and link to that subreddit at the bottom. So if you want to give those guys a subscribe,
That's cool.
and
You know
thank
what?
them for sharing this.
A big thank you. Yes, you're right, Varking. Shout out to Long John Silver. I'm a big fan of Treasure Planet and the original Muppet Treasure Island with Tim Curry. I love that stuff. That's great stuff. Go ahead. Let's do it.
So when it comes to what classifications, no, you're fine, brother. We're all excited. But when it comes to these classifications, they are claimed under 9, 16, 25, 28, and 41. One of them has all of them, and then the second claim is just 9 and 41. In these things, you have the most minute things like cases for mobile phones, trading cards, downloadable electronic games.
Whoa.
There is high definition digital disc and digital media. And then you get to a portion where it talks about downloadable multimedia files containing artwork, text, audio, video, games, and internet web links relating to a television series. You have albums for trading cards, albums for stickers, arts, crafts, clay kits, Halloween costumes, Halloween decorations, crazy things like aprons, bathrobes. Like some of this stuff is obviously very generic, but it covers so much, and they haven't really been a part of claiming any of these trademarks previously. So it kind of seems like a really big deal right now.
Now, you said, as we're looking here on screen, I've got the Rings of Power, just the Rings of Power, has all of the classifications, 9, 16, 25, 28, 41, which is basically all types of merch. But if we go to the Lord of the Rings, the Rings of Power, it is only classification 9 and 41. Varking, do you know what 9 and 41 reference specifically?
Again, just looking at those things, a lot of them are just different entertainment services. A lot of them are like virtual reality arcade services, things for computers, games. I know a lot of the comments that I had seen on Twitter already were like, oh, does this mean mobile games? Probably. Doesn't mean they have to be bad. They probably will, but it doesn't mean they have to be bad. But it's a lot of online related things, video on demand website stuff, even things like a potential app for the show that has, hidden content in there that you only get in the app, and all the news and the story and everything. All that is in that 9 and 41 area.
Now, I saw on the main Reddit post that we first came to light, the speculation was this is confirmation that it's video games, and it was video game related and video game specific and mostly video game. Is there any tip off that this is particularly video games, or is this just kind of like a blanket trademark application?
I think it is more of a blanket trademark application. The group that found this, I had run into them before when they claimed the War of the Rohirrim subreddit a day before the War of the Rohirrim got announced. And the reason that they claimed that subreddit was because they thought it was video game related, and they're mostly interested in video game things. So they're hoping, fingers crossed, that this will lead to video game content. But I do believe that this is just a generic trademark application trying to get their hands on it.
It's interesting, and you can read more details about the facts behind it on the onering.net. The main post right now is the Solzent's trademarks. So, Cliff, let's back up a bit. This is normal, right? Oh, Cliff bounced. Where did Cliff go? Anyway,
Cliff is disconnected.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna stick to here. So let's go back in. People in the chat room are a little confused. What does this mean? Are things being made? So let's back up a bit, okay? This does not mean anything's being made. Period. This does not confirm that anything's in production, that a video game is in development, that bathrobes are being sewn right now. This does not mean that. What this means is a business entity has said, we plan on maybe making all of this stuff, and we want to make sure that our trademark, the Rings of Power, is all for everything that can be made is owned by us. That way some bootleg operation can't make a Rings of Power mobile app, call it Rings of Power, and we can't do anything about it. They want to make sure that if the App Store if any App Store has a Rings of Power like stupid game or app, that they own the trademark in every country. And that way they can go shut it down. They can go to Apple, they can go to Google and say, hey, we own Rings of Power in the mobile game space. Please delete that other app. And if, someone wants to make some bootleg towels, they can go shut those guys down. So this is just a protection thing. It doesn't mean that these things are going to be made. But Varking, what the hype was behind video games. Any reason do you think video games were the first thing that came to mind for most people?
Yeah, I think that, again, that group on Reddit is after video game content, and they drop that directly in the title. So I think people, they see headlines, they click it immediately, and they're like, okay, what about the video games? But then in some of these, if you read through some of this, there is, parts in here that specifically reference mobile games or games that you can download on Android or iOS devices. So people were like, is this going to be something on PlayStation? There used to be an Amazon-based Lord of the Rings MMO in development at one point. Could this be coming back? So there was just a lot of speculation around that.
Interesting. So I've just clicked on the main website that is linked on the OneRing.net page. So this is cool. It's like, all right, they're planning to go full bore. There was speculation. Remember a couple years ago, we did speculate here on the show that Amazon had not acquired merchandising rights, only television rights. And that was the rumor at the time. This makes it clear that they are going full merch on this show.
Can we address the very relevant question by Troy in the YouTube chat asking, does this mean that Amazon Studios bought the rights that were on the table from the Saul Zaentz company? Let's do some clarification on this, can we? Because that's an excellent question.
Well, yeah, so that's the next part of this conversation. So the most interesting thing that we're here to talk about today is not only are they plan on making bathrobes and video games and mobile apps, the owner of this trademark, as you just saw as I clicked on the website, is an IP legal firm and the Saul Zaentz Company, a Delaware corporation. Saul Zaentz is familiar to all of us fans as Middle-earth Enterprises. They are the license holders that have been acquired from J.R.R. Tolkien himself, the original film rights and merchandising rights, the ones that they let Warner Brothers use for 25 years. Saul Zaentz. The interesting thing here, and here's where we get into the nitty-gritty of today's conversation. Folks, the Saul Zaentz Company has never been involved in Amazon's Lord of the Rings on Prime. Amazon did a deal directly with the Tolkien estate and the Tolkien family. The Saul Zaentz Company was never involved in those discussions. The Saul Zaentz Company...
It's a separate deal entirely.
Yeah, the Saul Zaentz Company was never involved in the production. The Saul Zaentz Company has never been mentioned in any official Amazon press release. The Saul Zaentz Company is not listed on Amazon's press portal. The Saul Zaentz Company is not mentioned on the new Tolkien Estate website, which we showed you a couple weeks ago, with all of that legal disclaimer, the fun we had on that. When it came to the questions about Rings of Power, at no point does the Tolkien Estate mention Saul Zaentz Company. They refer you to Amazon's PR department. I'm saying, like, I've read all the docs. Remember, a year ago, we even shared with you guys the contract that Amazon has with New Zealand. We have eyes on the contract. I have a printed copy over here of the licensing deal and marketing deal that Amazon has with the country of New Zealand. And at no point in that multi-page doc is Saul Zaentz or Middle-earth Enterprises ever mentioned. The big news here is that Saul Zaentz has applied for trademarks for the the Rings of Power.
When they
And
never had done so before.
Why?
So-
Why now?
Boy, oh boy, that's the question.
So what? I have some speculation, but I'm going to let these guys talk first. What do you guys think is the significance of Saul Zaentz making the application? And notice there is a law firm, and there is Saul Zaentz. Not on this application is Amazon or its subsidiaries.
Well, I'm immediately thinking that if they're trying to get greater control over Rings of Power and additional phrases, if Saul Zaentz is trying to establish that they have a greater, that it's in their bailiwick, it's in their wheelhouse, that they can cover it under their claim, then that means their asking price is going to go up because they're currently for sale. Right? Am I looking at this right?
I think you are. I think you're 100% on that. You guys have been reporting, obviously, just about every week about how they are currently up for grabs. They're accepting bidders right now. Even if they're not taking a deal, they're at least getting offers. And what better way for old Solly Boy to increase the value than to get more of what everybody wants?
I think so. I think there's three options that have happened. I'll start with the one that you guys just alluded to, which is Amazon's making $1 billion show. Saul Zaentz company owns some film rights that are currently for sale, and to sweeten the deal and to do a little bit of protection, Saul Zaentz has shot the gun first and applied for trademarks for the Rings of Power without anyone else knowing, because they want to sweeten the pot. And basically Saul Zaentz is kind of pulling the trigger like, hey, we own the trademarks of Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit. We're just going to add Rings of Power to our little war chest because we're for sale right now. So that's option one. Option two, Amazon has decided that their core competency is not in the licensing business. Amazon sells things, it ships things, and it makes TV shows and movies. But they do not really make merch. I don't think there's any merch for any of their shows.
No, there's no t-shirts or merchandise for Man in the High Castle. There might be some refrigerator magnets for, the marvelous Mrs. Maisel, but otherwise, no. I
think the boys got a comic book, but Amazon owns a Amazon owns a comic company called Comixology.
Look back a couple of minutes to Orlando Bloom's recent and now defunct fantasy drama series on Amazon, Carnival Row.
It's still active. They're still shooting.
Are they shooting another season? I thought they were done. My mistake. But there was never any merchandise for Orlando Bloom's fantasy show, and I would have thought there'd be action figures or something.
The Boys was a comic first. Thank you, David Baxter, in the chat room. The Boys was a comic that Amazon licensed. So
right, that's true. Yes,
but my point is that maybe Amazon has decided we're not in the merch business. We're going to make a big TV show, and maybe they looked to partner with Middle Earth Enterprises, the Saul Zaentz company, to manage the merch aspect of things, because that's what Saul Zaentz does. It manages the copyright, right? So maybe Amazon has done a deal. So that's option two. Option one, Saul Zaentz just did this to sweeten the deal. Option two, Amazon has formally engaged Middle Earth Enterprises as a management company. Option three.
Oh, that's an intriguing concept as well. Okay.
And option three, which I can explain why I think this is true. I'm
feeling the hype on this one already.
Oh my God, here we go.
I think that we're looking at it now. The Lord of the Rings, the Rings of Power trademark application, no mention of Amazon, but only Saul Zaentz. I think this means that Amazon has closed the deal and has purchased Saul Zaentz. The bidding is over. The buying is done. They haven't announced the deal yet. And I think the deal is done. Saul Zaentz is officially a subsidiary of Amazon. and I think Saul Zaentz is working on behalf of Amazon as an official subsidiary, and I think Amazon has purchased Saul Zaentz Company and Middle-earth Enterprises to manage the brand and IP, and I think this means, this is speculation, but I think this trademark application means that Amazon owns TV, movie, video game, and theme park rights to Hobbit, Lord of the Rings, and everything else. They've done the deal. I think this is it. This is it. Amazon, Jeff Bezos now owns Middle-earth in perpetuity.
Excuse me while I a little bit.
It could be good.
Look, I'm just here to observe and report, but honestly, I never thought that I would see Lex Luthor taking over Middle-earth. Mic drop.
You don't get really excited to see the potential of maybe a dwarf mine collapse Tower of Terror ride?
Okay,
at the theme park, the barrel ride through the water.
Well, if it were, the barrel ride in the water, sure, okay. But oh man, come on, guys, look.
And so
this is definitely the area of ultimate mixed bag. This is such of the ultimate mixed bag.
But Clifford, aren't you supposed to be shilling right now?
Yeah,
you're the shill.
Negative.
Heaven help me. But I'm telling you, there's something useful in a very cosmetic way. It's obvious that it is more convenient, it's more useful for everything to be centralized in one place, right? But in terms of where creativity is going to come from, it might be a bit odd and strange that things are so centralized. If it is true, if what you said, third option, is true, then I would wonder about other hands, just to quote Tolkien's letter again, but other minds and other hands taking a chance, to, I don't know. I feel very mixed feelings about this, and I'm finding it hard to, eloquently say what I want to say.
So
I hear you, but what about the why now? Why don't they file this 3 months ago, 6 months ago, 9 months ago? Do you think it's possible that during this bid war, Amazon was able to give them some footage, a handful of episodes, and they were so impressed with it, they were like, let's get this under our umbrella, get it over to you guys, and let's ride this pony to the end zone?
I don't think Saul Zaentz would have acted out of turn, especially if they're for sale right now. I don't think they would have acted out of turn and proactively done it independently, because it opens it up to lawsuit. Like we know Amazon is first in the marketplace with Rings of Power. Period. Like everyone knows Amazon did that first. They came up with the title first. Even the clapperboard that they leaked last year. Remember the black and white clapperboard photo? If you look at it, it's the Rings of Power. So they've been putting...
Of course, they've done due diligence. They've been putting it out there. They wouldn't have done this with Rings of Power unless Amazon had done the proper chain of title. And you know what? They wanted it to start with with themselves. 0.0 for chain of title wanted to be themselves, Amazon Studios, for Rings of Power, because no other product, we're talking about entertainment products, we're not talking about the literature. Just to make sure everybody knows, we're talking about a product, and they wanted to do it with their autonomy and their control. And I think that Amazon's behavior as a studio it's looking more and more like they're trying to cover all their bases and maximize the control they can have at many, many levels of this.
We've Dr. Nosy in the chat room says insider trading. Amazon knows how to deal with the competition. You buy them out in advance of an announcement. So here's what's happened. As been reporting for the last 4 weeks, Saul Zaentz Company took the rights. I don't know where Cliff went. Took the rights away from Warner Brothers and said, "Hey, 25 years is up. we can sell it now, highest bidder. And as we reported, the rumors are Universal put in a first bid that was very compelling. Universal offered theme parks a lot of money, and they have no franchises of their own. But that would mean that the Hobbit and Lord of the Rings rights would still be split. Secondly, I had in my other life, not with Lord of the Rings related, I was able to have some fireside chats with Tony Hsu, who was the founder of Zappos. Amazon bought Zappos many years ago. It was one of their first big acquisitions. So Tony said that the way Jeff Bezos negotiates, and this and I've had other people confirm this process, but the way Jeff Bezos works is he does not get in bidding wars. Jeff Bezos is the type of guy that says, oh, you're for sale? You have other bidders? Jeff will come to the table with the most expensive offer, the most money. And he will say, hey, guys, look, I know there's a bidding war. Here's my first offer. Here's my final offer. I know it's generous, and you have 72 hours to decide. He puts a ticking time bomb on the most generous offer. And most of the times, other companies cannot get a competing bid together in 72 hours. And that's how Jeff operates. When he acquires companies, he goes in for the kill. He goes, all right, here's a bunch of money. Here's more than you're asking. I want this done in 72 hours, or we're dead and we're never talking to you again. I think what happened here is there were other bidders for the Saul Zaentz rights. Jeff came in and said, I want this. This is my final offer. It's generous. Get it done. I think the deal is done. I think Saul Zaentz is working as a subsidiary of Amazon and the Rings of Power. And also, the famous story about how did Walt Disney acquire all that land in Florida for the theme park, right? Walt Disney created a bunch of secret companies to buy up all this land. I think what Amazon's doing now is the Saul Zaentz company is filing these trademarks, so Amazon doesn't have to be on the trademark, because all the red flags would show up. I don't think they expect Reddit and Varking's friends to sleuth their way, because I bet you there's a bunch of companies that have Amazon alerts on stuff, but no one would have Saul Zaentz. So kudos to Reddit. So that's my big theory. Varking, poke holes in it. Am I wrong?
Yeah.
What if I don't want to poke holes in it? What if I want some dwarf dragon scale male looking bathrobes? What if I want dwarven boot slippers? What if I want to wear a Khazad Doom apron while I'm cooking in the kitchen? I want all these things, and I have no problem if it's under Amazon's brand. I know that that's not a popular thing to say, but dang it, I want 1 day shipping on all that stuff.
Do you know what? I'm imagining the Khazad Doom cooking apron that says "Kiss the Cook." I love it. I love that. But look. Okay, maybe we shouldn't poke holes in Justin's theory, because that option might be as likely as any other outcome. Drawing attention to my friend Justin, who's in the YouTube chat, he says, my concern about Amazon owning anything is with how massive their revenues are. Will they spend much time on anything that doesn't move the needle? Which is
also,
a good question.
Let's remind everybody. Let's remind everybody. Just a couple short weeks ago, you know what Jeff Bezos also bought just 3 weeks ago? He spent $8 billion buying MGM, which had the Hobbit rights.
Right. That's true.
So
okay.
So Jeff acquired the Hobbit distribution rights with the MGM purchase. Everyone wants to talk about James Bond and how valuable James Bond is. I don't think that's Jeff's play. I think he's a true Lord of the Rings fan, and he is spending his ungodly sums of money acquiring all the Lord of the Rings rights for himself, like a dragon.
Like a dragon. Yeah, exactly. Great analogy. Wow. Well, if Universal had gotten their hands on it, I'm sure their primary interest would have been theme park. And the existence of theme park development would have fed the engine, and I mean ongoingly, the merchandise sales and the engine of merch and the exclusivity of certain merchandise that could only be available at the theme park. All that stuff that Disney does. I'm telling you, I can see very clearly why Universal would have wanted to jump in first. And the theme park space in the Florida park, they can expand. They have a lot of land. They have extra space to build more areas and plazas and pavilions and areas for a Middle Earth park. So whether or not this new acquisition, if you're right, Justin, and it is all under Amazon now, I wonder if that puts the kibosh on any theme park development. I wonder if that puts the stake in the heart of that.
I don't think so, because
is it listed in some of the documents we saw in the leak recently?
Let me point out, Universal has Hogwarts and the Wizarding World. Did Universal make Harry Potter movies?
No, that's all Warner Brothers, but it was an extended license, extended to Universal, just like the Simpsons was created by Fox Television. But still, they ended up in the Universal theme park because of special licensing arrangements.
So I think this provides an opportunity now that the movie and TV rights are all under one roof. Maybe okay. I think Amazon can go to Universal and say, "All right, let's deal."
Okay. Classification 41 says virtual reality arcade services, amusement park and theme park services, entertainment services, and so on and so on. Now, I'd like to just go back a second and address Justin in the chat saying that, Amazon wouldn't do this if it didn't move the needle. What other IP truly moves the needle like this? I don't think there is a bigger one. And I know there's a lot of groaning when you mention, Amazon buying anything. But if these other companies truly wanted the IP this bad, then they would spare no expense going after it, getting all this under its umbrella. I can't be mad that they're going after it. I can be a little bit upset that maybe company X, Y, or Z didn't go after it harder.
Interesting. Cliff,
Wait, didn't you guys, aren't you guys raising money? I saw just a couple days ago on the 1st that you guys were accepting funds to possibly buy the rights here. What happened?
Varking, is it possible that April Fool's joke outlived itself? Possibly.
We hadn't had a stream since then. Dang.
That's a good one, though.
We underbid.
That was a very good April Fool's moment for us.
I thought we had some great April Fools, but I think as much effort as we put into our April Fools, our message board delivered the goods with that George R.R. Martin screenshot. I mean, that was great. I gotta admit, our message boards. I'm surprised, but our message boards are.
Can we show it on the show? Do we have it?
Yeah, let me bring it up.
Show everyone that, please.
I'm very pleased that our message boards are as active as ever, and in fact, I love that Varking will show up in our Discord saying, "Hey, did you check out this thread on the message boards?" Like, who goes to a message board anymore? Turns out ringers do. And not only ringers, Carl Hostetter, the author of Tolkien's The Nature of Middle-earth, is currently on our message boards.
The editor. The author was Tolkien.
The author was Tolkien.
Yes.
Only the second man to ever edit Tolkien is on our message boards.
Yeah, quite brilliant. And he's there joining us. It's a real community conversation. It's quite fascinating, really.
So this image popped up on our message boards. The April Fool's joke was Amazon had hired George R.R. Martin to write the book adaptation of the TV show.
Not. That's funny.
It's so good. It looks so good too. And true fans translated the Elvish text at the bottom where it says, this is an April Fool's joke, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, Otaku Senpai in the chat room is saying, yes, Carl is fairly active on the boards. This is one thing that makes that the fact that we're having debates on our message boards with like actual Tolkien editors and authors. We're here on this show debating whether Amazon has bought Saul Zaentz and were at conventions having friendly debates about the hot button topics that, you know, are too hot for Twitter. This and Reddit is like scooping a lot of this stuff. Like, this is the community, right? Like,
Exactly.
all these different parts of it, and it's not
Yes.
one or the other. It's just, that's what's so fun about this, I think, is the speculation, the debates, the author, you know, the editor of Tolkien. It's just crazy. It's so much fun.
I appreciate that observation. Yeah, Justin, we have something that is so dynamic and so unique that we as a community have had for decades now, literally 2 of them. There's something quite cool about being able to sit and break bread with somebody and say, you know what, Tolkien makes me feel like this, and I recognize these things in Tolkien's work. And the other person says, I never thought of it that way. I kind of pull these ideas and I get different elements from Tolkien. And then both people learn something by appreciating the author who gave enough bandwidth in his written world to give us, the audience, the chance to interpret that much, and to interpret that broadly and varied in the way we interpret and approach him. I think that's awesome. I agree with you on that. So now,
and I wanted to bring up this old article, not old article, but a recent article from Demosthenes, right? Like, did Jeff Bezos purchase the film and television rights in perpetuity? That's to be seen. I think we might hear something really soon. But one of the big questions coming out of our WonderCon panel was like, do you guys honestly think Tolkien's rolling in his grave? And thanks to Demosthenes, let me bring this up on screen. Demosthenes has an article on the website. It's called The Rings of Power, Not Art or Cash, but Art and Cash. And here's a letter, number 202, from Tolkien's own hand, saying, Stanley and I have agreed on our policy, art or cash, either very profitable terms or absolute author's veto. This means, in plain speak, Tolkien said, pay me a lot of money or don't, but I get veto. And like, this is what Tolkien said. And the Tolkien estate, his family, seems like they're staying true to this by charging Amazon $250 million for the television rights.
Yeah.
And and we know the opening bid for the Saul Zaentz rights was $2 billion. Potentially, and Amazon has already spent $8 billion on the Hobbit rights with MGM. Potentially, Jeff has spent $3 billion on the Saul Zaentz rights. So basically, Tolkien said, pay me or it's my control. And Amazon and Jeff Bezos has said, fine, we'll pay you. We'll pay you the most money ever paid to any IP holder ever.
Indeed.
And as Tukish said in the Discord chat, and they're getting the most money ever, but they're still getting some veto power. They didn't have to give it all up.
They didn't have to give it all up. So we know kind of Cliff's stance. We saw his initial reaction, like, oh my god. Varkin, what's your reaction? Is Jeff owning everything a good thing?
I wouldn't necessarily say it's a good thing. I'm just, call me an eternal optimist or somebody who just, like, I enjoy a wait and see approach. I have fears just like everybody else. And if you've seen me on any other streams talking about the show, I almost exclusively talk about dwarf stuff. And that's not just because I love the dwarves, but it's because I enjoy talking about things that excite me. And I don't want to talk about the things that upset me a lot. And there's things that they've shown and things that we've read that I'm not so high on. But all the dwarven stuff has looked pretty magnificent. So I kind of just stick to those for now. If the show comes out and it's magnificent and it's beautiful and it's most of the things that I want, then I don't have a problem with him owning more of it. If it comes out and it bombs and it's not that good and season 2's not that good and the story's not that great, then there's going to be a lot of upset people, crazy streams. Even I'll be very disappointed. But I mean, monopolies, Not great, not great. But he doesn't own everything, does he? Like the War of the Rohirrim is going to come out.
I agree. I agree. I'm with you, Varking Rune Song. I'm so in alignment, very much in alignment with what you just said. But there was a question from Dan in our live chat about the War of the Rohirrim, and he says, "What happens to that film, the theatrical release of War of the Rohirrim, through Warner Brothers, if Amazon buys the rights?" And
I can answer that.
Is there any weird overlap that we need to parse in between these things?
We've reached out for comment on all of these matters in recent weeks, and especially today. There has been no comment from Amazon for or against to shoot down or to support, or not even a no comment. There's just been blank nothing from Amazon. There's been nothing.
Radio silence.
Radio silence from Middle Earth Enterprises, the Saul Zaentz company, Warner Brothers. But I did get a little tidbit from people behind the scenes that says basically the license that Warner Brothers had expired on January 1st of this year, and that's why they went up for sale. If Warner Brothers had a project in development before January 1st, they can see that project to completion.
Okay.
So, as we all know, last autumn, they announced War of the Rohirrim. We got artwork from John Howe and Alan Lee. Weta Workshop's involved. The Blade Runner director is on there, Kenji Kamiyama.
The announcement of the director, yes. And then
Philippa Boyens.
And Philippa. And then further to that, we've had even more news. Oh, also the two Primetime Emmy Award-winning guys from Dark Crystal Age of Resistance developing the story. And then after that, we learned about, here's some production artwork. Oh, hello, there's Mumakil. There's the giant Oliphants and an army or a battalion of Southrons having war against Meduseld and the Golden Hall being waylaid.
So that show can finish at Warner Brothers without
because it was
anything.
before February deadline.
I saw someone raise their hand in the group.
So I understand that covers the movie going to theater and coming out. Does it cover things like a video game coming out based on the War of the Rohirrim? Would that still be under Warner Brothers, or does Amazon or the Saul Zaentz get a piece of that pie?
Theoretically, it includes everything. The contract that was in effect during Peter Jackson's films was the same contract still in effect. So all of the terms still apply. So I guess the next question is, if this is Warner Brothers' last act in Middle Earth, do we want to see a Rohirrim video game and VR app and everything else to go along? Should they go full bore into making Rohirrim awesome?
Hell yes. Hell yes. Yes, 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 yes.
100%. And if you look at what they've done with not the cast, but the people who are going to make this movie, this, anime film, they've brought on nothing but the best. It looks like they spared no expense. And I would love to see a video game that is treated the same way, where they go to a studio to make this, they give them their ideas, and they pour the funds in it, and they give them the time to make it and make it right.
Right. Well, so, man, I don't know how to feel. Like, again, speculation on our part, but I think this trademark filing is proof positive that Saul Zaentz is in control and a subsidiary of Amazon. I don't know for a fact. We might hear something in the coming days, but I'm excited. I'm excited about the possibilities, and I think things are going to be easier now that Amazon owns everything. And the biggest question that we've had, Cliff,
following up that your theory that you're theorizing that now Amazon owns everything. All right.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's all a theory, but it solves a lot of issues. Also, the big question is, does Amazon's show connect with the Warner Brothers films?
No,
that's been a question.
We know that it doesn't. We know that it would. That they're carving out their own thing.
but is it not? Are they carving out their own thing because Warner Brothers wouldn't play? Because Saul Zaentz wouldn't negotiate? Or they couldn't come to terms? Maybe they just couldn't come to terms. Maybe Amazon spent 2 years trying to get the rights, the image rights, the trademark rights, back to the trademarks. And Amazon or Warner Brothers and Saul Zaentz says, you know what? The terms aren't favorable. No thanks. So Jeff goes on a buying spree and buys MGM and buys Saul Zaentz and says, you know what? I own it now. This show could be re-edited now. We're still 6 months away from the show. There's time enough to re-edit the show and make Elrond look like Elrond, and make the swords look like make Glamdring not Glamdring, make Narsil look like it should.
Yes, Narsil. Before it later, much later, becomes Anduril, Flame of the West. Yeah, maybe there is, but no. Come on,
Flip, I can't believe you're not excited about this.
What? No, I'm a train wreck of ambivalence right now. I am a complete train wreck of ambivalence about we'll find out more details eventually. But going on your popular theory, maybe your popular theory will become conventional wisdom eventually, before the details are actually released. But if Saul Zaentz were just still a completely separate operating entity, I would feel better, because if it's not broke, don't fix it. And they've been doing a great job licensing to New Line and to Peter, and Saul Zaentz has licensed to Fantasy Flight Games, and they've created wonderful tabletop games. They've licensed to EA, Electronic Arts, and have come out with wildly popular video games. So all along, you pick up the toy or look at the keychain and you look at it says copyright in tiny print, SZC, Saul Zaentz Company. So it's not broke. Don't fix it. Everything's been going along just fine. What? Are you guys going to complain about, war in the North? People didn't, it wasn't a breakthrough video game that broke it wasn't a blockbuster, but it was still popular and people liked it. And Varking, you could play the dwarf character as one of the leads that you wanted to play, and then comes along
and
years later. Yeah, right. It comes along many years later, and there's other licensing for a lot of other products and merch, and there's Burger King glowing glasses, and we eventually got Funko Pops out of a new deal.
But Cliff, to the thing you're speaking to, as I look at the bottom of this, it says copyright New Line Cinema 2001, all rights reserved, trademark the Saul Zaentz Company.
There it is. It's all over everything.
The Saul Zaentz Company is responsible for my Shards of King.
I can't believe you broke that.
It's the Frodo one too. I need a Frodo one.
I've got the complete set.
I did too. I did.
Well, look at eBay and see how much they're going to go for now. Up on my game shelf, there's spectacular games, but one of my very favorites is Journeys in Middle-earth. And lo and behold, Fantasy Flight puts out another massive expansion of Journeys in Middle-earth, and it is one of the best, very best tabletop games that they've got set in Tolkien's world. And it's really well designed, very well written, and it's a hell of a lot of fun. But look, I'm the one now looking at this whole acquisition concept, and the first words out of my mouth was, oh great, here comes Lex Luthor, taking control.
But don't you want more of these? Don't you want more of this stuff?
LexCorp.
But don't you want more of this stuff? Like these things?
Yeah, with the little logo on the bottom that says LexCorp. Right? You know what it's I'm sorry. Look, all right, I want to find out more details about who's really running the estate rights and the decision making with the family, the Tolkien family is doing. Aside from all this talk and speculation.
Do you think Simon Tolkien is running things?
Well, I'm looking at what Charlie has said in the chat that we should do an interview with the man himself. We've already talked to Royd Tolkien many times as a guest. Why don't we go through the proper channels and reach out to Simon Tolkien? He can talk about his best-selling legal thrillers, his books that he authored. And he can also maybe share some insights on how the family is, rocking and rolling with this business relationship that they've got with Amazon. We would love to know more.
I'm telling you, the family made a ton of money off Amazon already. And as Tolkien said, let me bring it up on screen again. Tolkien himself said either very profitable terms or absolute author's veto. So the Tolkien estate and the Tolkien family, whether that's Simon and Christopher and Priscilla, rest in peace Priscilla and Christopher, who were alive when the deal was done, they stayed true to their father's wishes and said, pay me or else. And they held to that. So,
yes.
And by the way, I want to bring this back. When Amazon first announced that they had acquired the rights, we had this big debate, and everyone kind of groaned and said, "Ugh, anyone but Amazon." And they've done some tax chicanery with the country of New Zealand. And the terms of moving production and stuff like that. And they've hurt a bunch of vendors that thought they were getting multiple years worth of work out of the show and, everything like that. But let me just bring this back to the biggest picture, Cliff, which is Tolkien is the father of fantasy. All fantasy is in his wake. All fantasy is inspired by him.
Yes.
He is the greatest world builder. All respect to George Lucas and all respect to Stan Lee and Ditko and all those guys, but the world builder is Tolkien, and he said other minds and hands will wield patent drama in the future to expand this legendarium. Tolkien wanted these adaptations, he wanted these expansions, he wanted the money. No lie, he wanted the money. We just showed you. And my argument 5 years ago was, who better to bring Middle-earth to the television screen than the richest man in the history of the world? Only the richest man and the richest company could afford to do Tolkien justice on television.
Well, that is an intriguing and very noble-minded concept. In execution, in September of this year, we will find out whether or not Amazon Studios has indeed become caretakers of, an intellectual property that they're going to do whatever they're going to do with. And we'll see if the writer's room and the storytelling and the intrinsic ideas of Professor Tolkien's spiritualism and metaphysics and his deeper concerns about what's going on in Middle-earth, in Arda overall, I hope that they can really tap into it. I hope, and we'll see, but I hope they can tap into it because there's a lot there. There's a lot there.
Final thoughts. I'm going to go to Varking first. With the latest news of Saul Zaentz filing trademarks for all of these things with the Rings of Power, has you, on a scale of 1 to 10, let's turn the dial. Has your dial gone up or down? Is your hype level higher or lower than it was a week ago?
Are we strictly talking the show, or are we talking about in general now?
The show and in general.
It doesn't change the show because I'm still in a wait and see approach, and I have the belief that at least the dwarven stuff is going to look good. So on my iMac, I'm going to clip out all the dwarf scenes and put them together and have my own little Varking cut edition of the show regardless. It's going to be great. But in terms of overall,
I love you, man. You're so
I love
awesome.
You too, bro.
You're so awesome, dude. It's so perfect.
Overall,
it's so perfect.
I think that this makes me more excited because Amazon, Saul Zaentz, isn't going to do this and then potentially sell to Amazon unless Amazon has a plan for more Tolkien-based content. And I know not everybody likes that, but I do. I want to play all the things in Middle-earth: board games, tabletop figures, action figures, collectibles, dwarf hammers. I want every bit of it. And this means to me like more of it is going to come.
Mm-hmm.
6th season in a movie. Cliff, on the dial of 1 to 10, have you ratcheted up or are you down a bit? Did he freeze? Oh my goodness.
The
No, he's looking
burst was
around.
a broken mechanism.
Okay.
No, I'm right here. I'm still here. I'm here.
You froze for a sec. So
I'm back.
dial
I'm back.
on the dial 1 to 10. Have you gone up in excitement or down in excitement?
I think the electromagnetic burst from this news has actually broken the dial completely. I'm a wreck of ambivalence because I also would like to have tasteful merchandise, and by that I mean I don't ever want to see gambling machines or slot machines licensed ever again. I don't want to see that, you know. But I do want to see really cool stuff like, you know, graphic novels and you know, beautiful miniatures in the tabletop games that are dwarven and detailed, and we get to paint them and like in, you know, get involved in like I want to see the character designs in the video games and have them be awesome and an awesome reflection of the hardworking craftspeople who were working in New Zealand and now working in the UK. Going to be, you know, I want to celebrate the cosplayers who are going to take on all the fabrication of new armor and new fabrics, and the new costumes that are going to come out. I'm so into that aspect of our fandom getting to go up in volume. Our fandom is going to be way dialed up in volume. You know how many great experiences we're going to have at the upcoming Comic-Cons and in future events where people get to replicate their favorite characters from Rings of Power. We're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to have a good time, unless it's a train wreck. If it is a painfully pedestrian show that does not really successfully tap into the energy and the vitality and I'm going to say this again, the metaphysics and the spirituality that motivate some of the clockwork of Professor Tolkien's creation. If they don't really successfully tap into it, all of the burden at this point, I hate to say it because I know I'm adding a lot of pressure to what they are already doing, but it's on the showrunners, Patrick and JD, to get that writer's room in ship shape. The writers have such a difficult, unenviable task, a real difficult task of tapping into the real stuff that makes Tolkien work like Tolkien. I'm never going to argue with anyone who's going to be, you know, trolling me about blah, 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 people of color or ethnicities should or should not show up in the narrative. I don't care about that. What I care about in the narrative is the spirituality showing up, the hard clockwork of metaphysics that makes Tolkien, specifically Tolkien. I want to see that as a litmus test of success or failure in what the writers and producers are doing. I don't care about blah, 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 blah casting. What I'm interested in is what the writers are doing. You know, maybe I'm just one nerd over here in my little corner of the internet talking to myself. But no, I don't think so. I honestly think a lot of other fans are interested in the essence of Professor Tolkien. When you boil it down, it's not cosmetic stuff. What is really the essence of Tolkien is much deeper, and it is within the power. It is absolutely, with all the money they've spent on it, with all the resources that they have at their disposal, the Amazon Studios effort does have potential, great potential, to really tap into it. And I hope for their sake that they do, so that our fandom can continue to bounce off of it and have an energetic, you know, time with all the stuff that they're doing. I'm really kind of impatient, but we got to be patient. We've got to exercise patience. September is a bloody long way away.
September is plenty of time to edit Narsil and edit those posters. And look what Zack Snyder did in his movie. He erased a whole actor and replaced an actor with an actress. So the magic of Hollywood never ceases to amaze me. But and my final thoughts on this is, if it's true and Amazon has wrapped up all the rights, it's only a good thing. And I love all of the things in the chat room you might have been seeing scrolling along, all the different ideas that people have for board games and pin the ring on the Nazgul and all that stuff. I'm so excited. I've always been excited about all the merch opportunities, and I think, look, Amazon has told us in no uncertain terms they licensed the book. They licensed the Lord of the Rings prologue to appendices. They're starting with the appendices. They cannot remake Lord of the Rings, but if Amazon now owns the kit and caboodle in perpetuity, The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings, because of the MGM deal and potentially a Saul Zaentz deal, we might be able, Amazon actually does have the right to make the first graphic novel adaptation of J.R.R. Tolkien's Lord of the Rings.
Okay, cool. Good.
They have the opportunity. They own a comic book shop too, and a printing press and ebook distribution. They could make graphic novels and spin-offs of Lord of the Rings. Basically, they own everything in those pages, and they can do anything they want with them if they really did acquire the rights. So this only means that we can get all those things that we've always thought, oh man, wouldn't it be cool if this artist did a graphic novel of this? Or what if we got an animated show about this? Or what if this was turned into a movie or whatever? Like, they can do it all, and I'm so excited. And as I said before, Tolkien stories deserve the richest man in the history of the world, running the richest company in the history of the world, spending the most money in the history of television on the biggest budget TV show of all time.
Well, you know what? I'm gonna second that opinion from Mac Juice in the YouTube chat, because it is true that even without $1 billion, there are other artists who have no money at all and a very small budget, and they're equally capable of making excellent art and tapping into that essence of Tolkien and making an adaptation that is really in touch with the original source. I'm looking at the fan-made film about the hunt for Gollum. Remember that? And the other fan movie, Born of Hope. Great Tolkien fan movies that were made on a nothing budget and still managed to do it right. So yeah, I'm going to agree with everybody on that. There's definitely time for that. Oh, anyways.
even on slow weeks, there are big news. If you read between the lines,
yes, there is.
So, Varking, where can people keep up with all of the latest gossip?
If you guys would spare me roughly 3 to 4 minutes of your time, I have something that I would like to advertise, shill a little bit, if you will. A couple weeks ago,
is yours.
Our subreddit, LOTR _ prime. I know, people, it was made before it had a title. That subreddit has enabled a feature called Reddit Talk. And Reddit Talk is basically like a Twitter Spaces. It's live audio chat where you can bring people up, they can raise their hand, you can call on them, they can talk with you, and you can interact with the community that way. We've had it enabled for a little bit now. A Reddit admin, somebody who actually, works for Reddit, contacted me not too long ago, and he said, hey, I know these people who would love to do a live audio drama on your Reddit page, and we'll help advertise it, we'll put the word out, we'll make art for it. And I thought that was awesome, and I double checked and I made sure that legally they were allowed to do it. I've seen the contract and the payment that they made to have the rights to do this. So on
this
Monday,
sounds quite promising.
Yep, Monday, April 11th, 8 p.m. Eastern time, 5 p.m. Pacific, on the LOTR _ prime subreddit, we will be hosting a Reddit talk that'll be live, and it will be by a company called Audiotorium, and they are going to do a audio drama of The Hobbit, and it's going to last for about an hour to an hour and a half. And I know there's a lot of fans all around the world who will not get to experience this live because due to different time zones or work or whatever, it will be recorded and it will be on the subreddit available afterwards. I've just been waiting to get the art before I started advertising it. And I made sure, guys, just for you, that this did not fall on a Tuesday. I made sure it was Monday night, so it wouldn't interfere with Torn Tuesday. But if you're worried that you're going to forget, subscribe to the subreddit. When it goes live, you will get a notification. If you're on your phone, you can minimize the Reddit app and it'll continue to play the audio in the background. When it's over, you can leave the subreddit, unsubscribe. It will not hurt me at all. There's no money to be made, nothing for me to gain. I just think that this is a really cool thing that we can do in the community, bring people together, have fun, little to no drama, and it should be fun for everybody. Now, to Justin's question about where can they go to keep up with all this stuff, come to the subreddit. It's LOTR _on_prime. And if news gets shared anywhere, even on the One Ring, we will pull their articles and we will share them. As long as it's dealing with the show, it's going to get posted there. We'll find it on Vanity Fair. It doesn't matter. It's all going to get posted there. And then we're going to talk about it on Tuesday nights. And it's going to be a great time for everybody.
Dude. Lots of exclusive exclamation point posts every week. So if you want the latest gossip on everything, the LOTR subreddit, LOTR on Prime subreddit is the place to keep up on all the gossip. Although I think we're getting to the point now where some people want to turn off the gossip, right? Like we're getting too close to the show that I don't want to know anymore, you know? So that's okay.
Well, we might have to do segments of our show that are separated by spoilers, where we absolutely separate a segment of time so that the front, the very front end of the show can be spoiler free. We should at least be able to, from an editorial perspective, be able to handle that much, I'm sure. But hold on. Wow. My mind, if you haven't noticed, is now blown outside the back of my skull onto the posters behind me because Varking, this is the coolest news. I'm excited about this. A real awesome audio drama of The Hobbit, the original.
I don't want to spoil it because I have heard a clip of it.
Yeah.
And it's going to be live. It's not recorded, but
yeah,
there's a recorded practice. There's a gentleman who will be playing like music in the background that they have licensed for this. And then there'll be multiple voice actors, each doing a different character. And it blew my mind to hear it. At first, when they approached me, I was like, I don't want your advertising on my subreddit. And then they were like, here's a clip of it. And I was like, please bring that to the subreddit. I think that it's awesome. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun and people will enjoy it.
Wow. I'm stoked. I'm totally into this. This is going to be so great. So great. Thank you, by the way. Thank you for doing the outreach and for doing such wonderful negotiations with these people. It's fantastic. That's awesome.
Thank you, brother.
You do us great honor here at theonering.net. Wow.
Is this a reading or a radio play? And what's the difference?
So it sounds like an adapted drama, a radio drama.
Yes, it is basically they are defining it as an audio drama experience. And they have done one on Reddit before that was for Halloween, but it was a special where they would read like a scary part and then they would call on somebody in the audience to choose what they were going to do, go left or go right. And then it would change the story. This won't be a live reading because I think that there's issues with doing live reading of the Tolkien books, but it is a live audio drama of The Hobbit that has been adapted to about an hour or an hour and a half of content.
I can deal with that length of time.
And if you can't get it live, again, I'll stick you the post at the top of the sub for at least a week or two to let people find it. And if you guys like it, find them on Twitter and stuff like that.
A radio drama is like music, sound effects, Foley, like stuff like that. Not just a straight reading like Andy Serkis reading The Hobbit. This is like there's someone like banging a drum, banging some pots and pans.
There are accents, there's music, there will be sound effects. It's I do big boy stuff, bro.
Look at Cliff, he's already on his phone like reaching out to the voice people like, how can I be involved?
He should be.
It would be an absolute delight to even have a little bit part and do a little cameo and just be like, hi, I'm Elfo, and then just go off stage again. That'd be great.
I will reach out to them when this ends,
Oh
and
my
then I
God.
will give you their contact information.
Oh, that's so sweet, dude. Yeah, I mean,
That's
I'm
so
sure they've
good.
got everybody ready. I'm sure that by now they're well rehearsed. They're well rehearsed, and they've got an excellent team of talented people ready to go. So I'm excited, and thank you for bringing this to our attention at the end of our show. And boy, have we had a really good hour and a half tonight, haven't we?
Yes,
Wow.
we have.
I want to say thank you to the live audience again across all the platforms, Facebook and Twitter, Twitch, and oh no, Justin. Okay, what is that artwork in Japan where they take broken porcelain and they glue it together with beautiful gold enamel so that the broken pieces are all come together and you make a new form of art with these gold veins that are in between the cracks where the broken segments were, and it comes back together as a new formed piece of art. Out of destruction comes new creation.
I
back
don't know
on
what
the theme again.
I
Back
don't,
on
I
the
don't know
theme.
what
I see what you
your
did there.
Yeah.
I don't know what your financial situation is, but I'm not in a position to play with gold. I'm like, what? I got to go to a Dragon Sword and get some
No, we're
gold
talking
foil?
about going to Michael's art supply store and getting some gold glitter glue or some kind of stuff that you can.
Oh, not gold.
Oh no, let's just adhesive, something that is from an art project. Make it like an art project. and get some.
Kintsugi. Thank you
Yeah.
for the chat room.
Thank you, chat room. Thank you, chat room. I love you guys. That's awesome.
Well, this has been a great show. Thanks to Reddit and Varking for bringing us the juiciest of gossip. We took a little juicy gossip that everyone thought was about video games, and we've turned it into the ultimate news that people may or may not want to hear. We don't know. It's all speculation. The trademarks are not. The trademarks are real. The Saul Zaentz company has the trademark for the Rings of Power. What does that mean? We will find out in the next couple weeks. It's
wild. I'm telling you guys, it's not just all about, oh, look at the character posters or, ooh, look at the trailer. Sometimes it's about, oh, shit, look at the legal paperwork. Sometimes it's more about that. And I dig that. I dig that.
Someone in the chat room just said, what about the Gollum game that's coming out?
What's the update on that?
There is no update, but I'm telling you.
Oh, Varking has news.
Not major breaking news, but recently on Twitter, I follow Middle Earth Ent, not like the Ents, but Ent, like Middle Earth Entertainment.
Yeah.
And they just recently visit the studio, maybe a week ago, and came back to Twitter and said what they have seen is impressive, and they're even more excited for everybody to see this when it comes out, ideally later this year.
That's the Saul Zaentz company.
Okay.
They do their business name, their incorporation is called Saul Zaentz Company. But they do business as DBA, Middle Earth Enterprises.
Yeah, DBA. Yeah, DBA Middle Earth Enterprises.
Wait,
yeah.
I think it's
okay.
I think it says that under here, Saul Zaentz Company, DBA Middle Earth Enterprise. So, same company.
Yeah.
So I think if Amazon buys Saul Zaentz Company, I think the game gets rebranded as an Amazon game. And do they make changes? Do they delay it another year and make some changes that fall in line with the TV show? I don't know.
Do you know what? We need to get press credentials for the next E3. We need to get press badges. To go in and interview those people.
I have unfortunate breaking news for you, Cliff. E3 is officially donezo. It did not survive the pandemic. E3 is no more.
Okay, bye E3, never mind. Well, you know what? We'll just directly interview the people right here on our own comfortable couch, right here in my own hobbit hole, right here. We'll interview them right here. Well, I want to say thanks again to the audience because you guys make it happen, and thank you for being here. But especially right now, I want to go to the tavern and get a mug of the best mead for that guy, that dwarf right there, Varking. I owe you a drink, Varking. Thank you, man, for bringing the goods.
And if you are in our Discord, it is time to do your Cliff emote. Exclamation point, Cliff. Put it in the Discord. And if you aren't on our Discord, click the link in the description. Just search for the One Ring on Discord because we'd love to have you there. And you can put the Cliff command. And it says, Clifford cues up his famous last words.
Oh, that is so funny. You guys are so awesome. Thank you. Thank you for setting all this up. I'm not blushing, I swear. Thank you, everybody. Be safe and take good care of yourselves and have a great week, because there's next week when we'll be back again right here on the OneRing.net for more Torn Tuesday, more salacious gossip and more confirmed news and, some little crunchy bits in between. We're going to do our best to bring you the conversation amongst all of us about J.R.R. Tolkien and the upcoming Rings of Power series. Thanks again for joining us. Follow me on social media at QuickBeam2000. That's right, QuickBeam2000 on Instagram and Twitter. Varking, of course, we want to tell everybody to follow us on our Discord chat, please. What is that? We literally need to tell them to look for /TheOneRingNet.
Yes, you can go to discord.gg/TheOneRing, and then it'll pull up the server.
That's it.
And
awesome.
Varking's on Twitter and on Reddit at Varking Runesong.
Yes, Varking Runesong. And that guy, he's Justin's big idea.
I don't know about that.
Thanks for joining us again, everybody. Until then, I say good night and good luck. Or better yet, buenos noches y buena suerte. Bye, everybody.
Amazon, if you're listening, give us the press release first.